What is up, guys? Pie Muffin here, and we are back with another Tales of Crestoria video. Today, we're going to be talking about what was kind of, not really, I guess talked about is a good word. Obviously, Tales of Crestoria didn't have an official panel at Anime Expo, so there was no real information that was going to be revealed. But they did put out several tweets over the last few days, and we're just going to kind of go over everything. So let's go ahead and scroll all the way down. So obviously, we already went over this, that they were going to be at Anime Expo. Here are the pictures from day one. You know, they've got a nice little... I was honestly surprised at how big their kind of panel was. Because you had all of these kind of covering all the... in the main lobby here. You had them covering all the kind of poles that hold up the building. So I thought that was pretty cool. They had a little picture booth where you can take a picture with, like, the character's powers, which I thought was pretty cute. Over here, we do have some images. I'm sure they're going to upload these screenshots of their skit faces later. Like, we'll get official kind of stuff here. So, we got skit faces, Mizella, Kanata, Yuna's down here, and then Aegis over here. And it's kind of funny that Bandai is making themselves self-aware. You know, with this skit picture here, the Mizelle's like, I don't know if we have what it takes to get really big in America. Which is obviously them making fun of the fact that Tales isn't as widely known of a franchise in the West as, like, maybe something like Final Fantasy. So I thought that was pretty funny. Once again, they had these kind of cutout boards at Tales Fest as well. You were able to kind of take pictures in front of them and whatnot, but you couldn't actually take pictures with them because they had the little barrier here. Obviously, they don't want people ruining the little boards because obviously I'm sure they don't have copies. They can just pop out. There were little, like... I guess, like, goodie bags you could get for Crestoria here. They explain the story, system of justice. This is all stuff that we already know. But obviously, the booth at Anime Expo was really to kind of draw in more fans to see everything, which they did do. When Anime Expo started, the Twitter only had about 3,800, 3,900 followers. So they got roughly over 1,000 new followers just from the promotion at Anime Expo, which is great. They're almost at 5,000. And if you really want to kind of compare, Star Ocean Animesis is a gacha game that started late. So obviously, we're not going to have to worry about this because the English and JP version are going to release presumably at the same time. That's what they're kind of pointing towards. With Star Ocean, they're like a year and a half, almost 2 years behind in content, if I'm remembering correctly. But even still, the English version has not kind of gone down. But they have like 8,000 followers, so this game isn't even out yet, and it has over half of what a game that's been around for a year has already managed to get. So I think once Crestoria actually comes out, I think this game getting up to like 10,000 followers will be no problem at all. Then they had these little badges that they gave out as well. You know, you got Anime Kanata right there. And then they started doing this on the first day of the convention. Which they haven't released any of the stuff from these polls yet, but they will. Presumably starting tomorrow. You know, maybe each day they'll do a new one. The first one was holding a poll. Which character captures your interest the most? Will release bonus visuals of the character with the most votes. Vicious won the first poll. Obviously, the badass, evil-looking dude entices people more than a innocent boy who was put in a situation kind of against his will. So Vicious will be getting bonus visuals, presumably, you know, skit faces, maybe some anime cutscene visuals, that kind of stuff. On day 2, they did the same thing, but with the other 3 cast members. Surprisingly, Yuna did not win. You know, the new Tales waifu, so to speak, did not win the poll. Aegis did. Obviously, he's right here, which I think is pretty cool that he won. So we'll be getting some bonus visuals for him. They were once again promoting that they have the visuals here. There is a skit face for Vicious that, if I can find it, I definitely want to show you all during this video, because it's very funny, because it looks like he's getting decked in the face. We'll see if we can find it after we go over this stuff. The third poll for the third day was for the regular Tales characters from previous titles. Velvet obviously won. It really is kind of, I don't want to say upsetting, because you can't really blame the Western fan base for not knowing the older titles. But obviously Velvet is the most recent and the most well-known currently Tales protagonist from the four here. Luke got in second place because Abyss is still very highly hailed over here in the West, despite the fact it didn't have voices for skits. But anyways, in the English version anyways. So Velvet got for, I assume we're going to get all the visuals for these characters, but this is probably what they're going to do first. So Velvet won this one, so presumably in the near future we'll get some Velvet, maybe some skit images and stuff like that. So yeah, that'll be pretty cool. Once again, they're talking about the AR experience booth for Crestoria. Obviously, I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what that was about, but, you know, augmented reality stuff, I mean, that does sound cool. And the fourth poll, which was yesterday, which characters, Mystic Arts, do you want to see in battle? Which, we've already kind of seen these three characters' Mystic Arts in the Mystic Art trailer, but I assume they're going to show us an actual gameplay demonstration of how it looks. You know, it'll show us at the beginning of the turn where the characters are just standing next to each other, and then obviously Vicious won this one as well, so we're going to see Vicious's Mystic Art first. And then they tweeted today, 9 hours ago, it's the final day of Anime Expo 2019, and obviously this image right here is from one of the openings, so that's pretty cool. Well, not openings, but trailers they've shown us. And then the last question they posed to us about 3 hours ago, that's still going on, so if you want to vote, you still can. You've got 20 hours left until this is over, but I assume that we already kind of know what's going to win here. Round 5 poll is here. Our last question to you: what would you like to ask the Tales of Crestoria producer about? The producer will answer the winning question. Now, this can be done a couple of ways. The first thing, whatever wins, which obviously inclusions for Tales fans. So what I'm assuming that kind of means, and feel free to drop your, because this is very vague, I feel like, is probably inclusions meaning stuff from previous, so like the characters, the old characters, you know, what old mechanics, like they're basically going to talk about, for Tales fans, what is going to be added that's going to make you excited type thing. But the fact that the producer's going to answer it makes me think a couple things. Either one, they're going to release another trailer. They'll release like a producer trailer where the producer will talk as like stuff is being shown in the background. 2, they have another stream planned. I think that there were only 2 points I wanted to make for that. Those are really the two main things I get. Or it may be a Twitter post that gets made, and then the Crestoria Twitter will just share it. That could be the third thing. So the fact that, you know, something like this, they obviously want to keep fans hyped up. You know, obviously the game has to be close to coming out now because, you know, it does seem like they have all their ducks in a row. It looks like everything's ready to kind of be set off. I don't know what else they would possibly need to do to be ready to release the game. Obviously, I'm not part of the development team. I don't know how far along they are, but with how much everything's being promoted, I see it coming out very, very soon. Maybe, you know, if I'm being optimistic, maybe after all of these questions are answered, like let's say they take 1 day each for each one. So let's say tomorrow they release the bonus visuals for Vicious, and then Tuesday they release the bonus visuals for Aegis, Wednesday Velvet, Thursday Vicious again, and then Friday let's say we get the question answered on Friday, and then let's say on Friday when they answer that question, let's say I'm being optimistic, maybe the next Monday could be when the game actually gets released. Obviously, I don't think it'll be that close, but let's be optimistic, something like that. I think that'd be very smart on their part. And then, obviously, they say we made it to the end of AX 2019. A big thanks to anyone who made it out of the Tales of Crestoria booths. Obviously, they have all the visuals here. Our development team is toiling away on the game as we type. Keep your ear to the ground and your eyes on social media for further updates. So, obviously, they want us to stay close to paying attention to Crestoria, which means, honestly, I still am very hopeful that before the end of July we could have the game out. Obviously, you would think of a game coming out that close, they would have a release date, but some game companies for gacha games don't like to release an official release date because, there could be something that comes up that makes it be longer, and they don't want to keep putting out new release dates. Like, they don't want it to be June, it's coming out, July, it's coming out. Oh, sorry, we got to push it back to August. Because that's what makes fans upset, is having a release date and that release date not being met. By just keeping it 2019, it's smarter on their part, because that way they don't have to worry about social media backlash if the game doesn't come out right when they say it's going to come out. So I think that's very smart on their part anyways. Let's do hashtag Crestoria. Or Tales of Crestoria would be better, actually. There we go. And we're just going to look, because I'm sure there probably have been people who took pictures and whatnot. So let's go ahead and scroll down a bit. Obviously, the main... Okay, so someone here, obviously, you'll see these people who posted their own stuff. So this is Aegis kind of has like a little blushing face, which is kind of funny because he has this kind of Flynn kind of persona to me, serious kind of knight person. So when he gets embarrassed, I'm sure it could be very, very funny. Okay, here it is. Okay, cool. This person actually posted it. So right here, this skit, right here, you can see Vicious getting decked. I'm sure it's by Mizella. Mizella kind of comes off as the Tails group mom for this group. It's obviously not going to be Yuna. Yuna comes off as a very Magilu type character, very kind of out there, kind of free-spirited. Orwin, literally, his skit faces just remind me of Raven. He's like Raven if Raven was Schwann all the time. I guess that's a big spoiler if you haven't played Vesperia. Oops. But anyways, he has this very kind of like Raven feel about him, so I'm totally all for that. Raven is still my favorite kind of like old man Tails character. But yeah, so we got all the skit faces here. Everyone's kind of got their... Most of his stuff is just kind of like he's laughing, serious. I don't even know what you would call this face, but his decked in the face look is definitely very funny to me. And I think that's pretty much it. You got people making fan art. I can't wait to play Tales of Swole. But yeah, overall, that is pretty much everything on Tales of Crestoria when it comes to Anime Expo. I'd love to hear all your guys' thoughts down below. When do you think this game is going to be releasing? Are you optimistic it's coming out soon? Or do you think this game still has a while to go before it comes out? I'm hoping it's not a while because, honestly, you've got everyone's attention. You've got everyone ready to kind of invest into this game, like, right now. And if they release all the information they had for Anime Expo, all the little tidbits of everything that these polls have to do with, like, let's say a week goes by, we get all this information, but then the game doesn't come out till September, and they go radio silent again. Yes, the people who were invested will be excited, but everyone who went to Anime Expo that immediately was like, oh, I want to play this game now, will probably kind of fade off of that. There was one more thing I wanted to go over, and you can kind of see it in one of the screenshots here. Where was it? I think it was this one. So down here, you can very barely see it, but there are 4 characters here. You've got the main 3, you've got Vicious, Mizella, and Kanata, and the 4th character here is Milla. So let's talk about this real quick. So this means one of 2 things. Either 1, your team is going to be of 4 people, and we know it's not going to... We've seen in the trailers that multiple Tales characters that aren't Crestoria characters can be on the same team. So I don't think it's going to be a thing where it's going to force you to use 3 of the 6 Crestoria characters and then you can bring 1 extra. I don't think it's going to be like that. But what I think it's going to be is you either have a team of 4, which would be very interesting for a gacha game, because a lot of gacha games kind of either have like 3 characters, 5 characters, or something like that. So it's either going to be that where you set up a team of 4, or what this could be is you set up a team of 3, and the 4th character is a friend person you bring along with you, which I think is probably the most likely scenario. So I'll be very interested to see how that kind of pans out. There was also a very funny, I forget who shared it. I may actually have it on. I'll just read it because I know what it said off the. Oh wait, is he? No, that wasn't it. So basically, there's another. It's basically the same Skit image, but they're just changing what the text says. And instead of it saying this, it was Mizella saying something like, "You know what they say? You can never trust Alvin will betray you, but your muscles never will." So that was a nice little jab at Alvin, poor guy. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Any further updates that come out with Crestoria, I will obviously keep you all posted. I am very excited for this game. I mean, I obviously am because I check the App Store or the Google Play Store every day to see if there's a coming soon for Crestoria. Unfortunately, no, there isn't yet. But I'm very excited nonetheless. Don't forget to subscribe for more if you're new to the channel and if you're excited for Tales of Crestoria. I will see you all next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.